In the last hour, we're going to look inside the House Republican tax retreat, which is underway at Fort McNair Army Base in Washington. The goal is to get it all done by the end of the year as the president seeks his first big legislative win.
I look forward to working with the members of Congress gathered here today to pass the reform and the massive tax cuts that our country desperately needs to thrive, to grow, to prosper. If we do this, we will create millions of new jobs for our people and bring many, many businesses back to our shores.
So that's really the goal. That's what we should be keeping in mind. Why do we want to reform the tax system? Because we wanted to create greater prosperity. We know a bit about the proposal. New details of the tax plan were just released by the White House. Senior administration officials are stressing that the president wants the economy, wants Congress, as Stephanie said, to work out many of the specifics. But the president is going to propose cutting the current tax brackets from 7 to 3. 12%, that's higher than the lowest currently at 10%, then 25% and 35%. They're leaving space for an optional top tax bracket because they may need to do that in negotiations. Let me just tell you right now, this is a little smoke and mirrors. It's kind of neat to go from 7 to 3, but it doesn't have any meaningful effect on prosperity. This is the part you want to concentrate on. Currently, the highest tax rate is 39.6%. The 12%, the White House says, part of the problem is they're doing something else to raise the minimum level at which you have to pay tax, so fewer people will actually pay tax at that rate. Now, let me tell you what else they want to do. They want to nearly double the standard deduction, $12,000 for individuals, $24,000 for married couples. That's the justification for raising the lowest tax rate from 10 to 12% that a whole lot of people aren't going to actually pay for it. The plan also calls for the elimination of the so-called marriage penalty, for raising the tax credit for a child under 17 by a yet-to-be-specified amount, and look for a new $500 tax credit for non-child dependents. That replaces the idea that you can actually otherwise claim non-child dependents. In addition, the plan calls for repealing the estate tax, what a lot of Republicans call the death tax. This benefits, generally speaking, the wealthy. It also repeals the alternative minimum tax. Now, this is tricky because a lot of you may say, I pay the alternative minimum tax. That's not just for the wealthy. Here's the problem. The alternative minimum tax was actually meant to be something for the wealthy, wasn't indexed to inflation, so a number of people in the middle class have been caught paying it. But make no mistake, repealing the alternative minimum tax as opposed to properly indexing it to inflation is a boon for the wealthy, generally speaking. There are exceptions to this, and I bet you're going to tweet me about them any second now. On the business side, the plan calls for slashing the corporate rate to 20% from 35%. Donald Trump had talked about 15%. Hard to get there. They've been trying to do that, but here's the interesting part. It also calls for a so-called pass-through rate of 25%. Now, for those of you who have small businesses, you'll know what this is. You can deduct expenses, and then you pay the remainder of your income as your personal tax, which is now has a marginal tax.
You.
Go ahead.
You need to walk through what constitutes a small business. Because when you see that and you go, great, this is for a mom and pop store. A mom and pop store, President Trump has over 500 LLCs. That's law firms and hedge funds.
That's right. So the average income for one of these pass-through businesses in America is over $750,000.
The average, say that again?
It's $750,000 for most pass-through businesses, right? The average household, the median household income in the United States is $59,000. So yes, while there are some legitimate businesses that use this pass-through system that will benefit from being able to write off your expenses and then pay 25% as opposed to the 35% that the personal tax rate will be, or 39.6 today. This, again, don't be fooled into thinking this is about all small businesses. This still overwhelmingly supports those who are higher earners in this country. So those are the details that we've got right now. Some of it has been reported by the Washington Post this morning. The plan aims to cut taxes by more than $5 trillion over 10 years. And here's the interesting part. It's going to recoup more than half of that by eliminating some popular tax breaks. You'll keep the mortgage interest tax break. You'll keep the charitable tax breaks. But a lot of the tax breaks that you currently have and other people currently have are going to disappear. Might be a good thing. Might be a bad thing. We got a lot of tax breaks in this code.
What we don't see is a border adjustment tax we heard about. We don't know anything about capital gains. There's still, a lot remains to be seen. And in defense of the plan, remember, this is their first
That's fine. It's not the worst plan in the world. I just the characterization of it as being all about the middle class is a little bit disingenuous.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.